Hey folks, Studio here, and it's time. It's time to do something very special. It's time to Yi. And I'm going to be showing a replay of Jungle Yi, so not AP Yi, completely different playstyles. This will be attack damage Yi. And very importantly, this is going to be a special Jungle Yi. No exhaust, no flash, teleport. So really quickly, I want to go into what Yi does. What is his role? His ganks are based entirely off either the lane he's ganking having very good CC, or him having red buff and possibly exhaust to lock somebody in place, or just very good burst damage. Sometimes you don't need the CC, sometimes you just need to whump them. Just whump them a couple times, they're dead. But his ganks are not very good because, all you have for CC is red buff. You can close the distance, yes, but if they have a stun, if they have even a silence sometimes, an exhaust, the debuff can actually hurt you quite a bit. Or if they're, Jason can acceleration get out of there or have their own escape. Once you Alpha Strike, you're SOL. Especially early on when Alpha Strike has a really long cooldown. But let's go ahead and go into the game. Well, actually really quickly, the runes being used by NK Inc. are 10 armor penetration, armor yellows, attack damage, everything Quinton reds. I believe you have spare reds for attack damage. And then magic resist per level blues. This makes sense because he's not expecting that much magic damage coming from Golem. Well, maybe a tiny bit. But going into the game. So, NK Inc. is playing on Team Marn. He was actually substituting for them. So this was a tournament game. This was worth quite a bit. They're playing up against Troopers Troopers. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce the roles. For mid lane on Team Marn, it's Marn on Ahri. Haim Echo is the AD carry. Patoy is subbing in, playing as Blitzcrank. I believe Hazard is also subbing in, playing as Vladimir. And NK Inc. is Master Yi. Go, Mr. Yi, go. For Troopers Troopers, Trooper is on Tristana. Nick Wu is playing Rengar. Fragnatic is playing Singed in the 1v2. Dagon is playing Orianna, and LEB is support Nunu with Promote. So, really quickly, let's go ahead and look at the vision of Team Marn, because this is a pretty special opening. So, I want to show you guys an example of what you can do in a level 1 team fight, and why knowledge is so important. So, they have Fragnatic right here for vision, Nick Wu spots Blitzcrank going in, and the chase is kind of on. They want to grab Nick Wu because he doesn't have flash, they'll be able to escape. And they missed the grab. Now, despite the fact that they already missed the grab, Team Marn continues to invade. So, look at how this kind of works out. Patoy's is rushing in there, Blitzcrank, fist first, going crazy. And they very quickly realize they've walked into a gigantic trap, and Trooper actually stayed away from the wall, or the brush, so they wouldn't be spotted. Yeah, this is pretty much just all of Team Marn being killed at this point, because Tristana used her rocket jump, used the cooldown reset to actually be very mobile, get lots of kills. And yeah, everybody on Team Marn dies, pretty much. Marn himself actually survives, and Patoy survives. So that's a 3-for-1 exchange. Now, I just want to show you the perspective of Team Marn. I'm not going to go into that fight again. That fight's not very interesting. All they did was attack the people who walked in the brush. This should have been a very clear sign that it was a bad idea. Once they missed the grab and saw Nunu there, they should have said back up. We can't really fight this. They did see Rengar back up, but you don't want to walk into a trap like this. And of course, Singed actually did a lot of work because Poison Trail was a lot of sustained damage. But neither here nor there. When you go for those level 1 fights, make sure you don't just walk into a big trap. If they'd had better level 1, maybe something like Taric, some extra CC, they actually could have gone for it, but they didn't. So, NK Inc., where does he start his jungle? Over at blue. Yi is very dependent on cooldowns. Alpha Strike has an 18-second cooldown without any CDR. That's pretty big. Yi's also kind of dependent on luck, because if you don't get any procs on your Alpha Strike, your jungling is a lot slower. So let's look at his wolf camp. Let's see how lucky he gets. 0 wolves go down to the proc, so now he has to spend extra time killing these wolves. Unfortunately, when you're playing as Master Yi, you're very, very dependent on luck. Sometimes things do not go your way, sometimes they do. Back in beta, when people used to jungle Yi because it was broken as hell, there was still the off chance you would not get any double strike procs because that was also random chance, or Alpha Strike procs. This would be a lucky Yi because he just got the proc on Blue Wraith. When you're playing Yi, it should be relatively consistent. You will get some procs, you'll miss some procs. Every now and then you'll have like that one game where nothing ever happens in your favor, but generally you should be in an okay spot. So NKink, what's he going to try and do? Well, he has his teleport up, but what lane can he really use that offensively in? If Blitzcrank grabs Singe, they'll probably get a kill anyways, so he probably shouldn't head down there for any reason. Mid lane, you know, he has the option to apply some pressure, which he does here. This gets an auto attack off and an alpha strike off. Not a lot of damage, but it's all he could do. But think about it, mid lane, there's ganking potential. Top lane, Hazard is not setting up anything for Master Yi. The best he can do right now is slow them, then take a lot of damage in response. So he knows the only lane he can really go is going to be mid, or he can always invade and steal the enemy jungle. As we can see, Nick Wu already has his own blue stuff, but who cares about that? NKink is not really going to focus on the enemy jungle. He can stay in his own jungle and just constantly clear it and be okay. And that's what you do as Yi. You just need to farm up as much as possible. You're not like Warwick, you're not like Malphite, where at level 6 you get super strong. You do get a little better because you do have an okay ultimate, but that's only an okay ultimate. It's not the gank securing ultimate, the kill securing ultimate that is, for example, Malphite's ultimate. There was a kill in the bot lane. I believe Patoy just grabbed Singe. Nothing too exciting. If you're in a 1v2 situation, don't get grabbed by a Blitzcrank. That's what makes Blitzcrank one of the best 1v2 or 2v1 champions in the game. Except maybe against someone like Vladimir, just because he can dodge the hook very easily by pressing a button. So if you happen to be 2v1ing Vladimir or Nocturne, it's kind of a pain, I guess. But NK, he's got double buff, he's now level 4. What's he going to do? He's going to go ahead and keep jungling. Nothing too exciting. I believe he does briefly hold top lane, just because he can. But his main goal is not actually to do much right now. He just wants farm, and experience. Once he's level 6, he can do cool plays. But normally the problem you have is he is, despite his high base move speed, your gap closer is only an alpha strike, and once that's on cooldown, if they have any sort of kiting potential and you don't have your ultimate, you just get kited and die. Bot lane going very well, by the way. Singe dies one more time. It's actually fairly important. And NKink, what's he going to do? He's going to gank mid. Now the setup is pretty good here. They see Dagon and they have Patoy. So if they land a charm, they can combo that into a Blitzcrank hook. Or here we see Marn actually trying to go ahead and bait Dagon into this bush area. Always be suspicious when the enemy mid is hanging out near like one side, because it either means it's warded or they have backup there. So Dagon goes aggressive, and now the gank is on. So he does something smart here. He waits to actually flash, but actually misses the flash over the wall, and gets killed by a combination of Ignite, Foxfire, and of course the punch from Patoy. I think the idea actually behind that flash was a flash to the side in case Blitzcrank hooked, because the way he landed, that was actually intentional. If he landed like against the wall, that would have been a mess up, but this was intentional. So 1-for-1 exchange. NKink, what did he really do in that fight? Tossed down an alpha strike, got an auto attack off, applied the slow from red buff, but he didn't do a whole lot, and that's kind of the problem you have as Master Yi. You're not really a master, you're just kind of Mr. Yi, because early on you don't do anything. Actually, I guess you're a master, you don't do any work, you just watch others do it for you, and you can try and help out maybe. APE is a different story. APE would have done a lot of damage right there, had no real follow-up, but you know, the pain would have been high. But unfortunately, you know, that would have absolutely no jungling presence unless you got lucky with procs, just because his attack speed would be so slow. You could sustain, but that's not what you need to do as Yi. His sustain is already high enough if you get any sort of lifesteal. Notice also that NKink actually rushed Berserker Greaves just because he knew he'd get them, and it helps his speed so much. So NKink is doing his first teleport. Let's actually watch what happens in the top lane. I actually noticed something really important. He didn't even finish Wolf. He knew that he needed to get there right away. So top lane, Hazard gets jumped on, his turret's been killed. Trooper's applying pressure, and he starts to teleport in. Now, look at what NKink has up. He only has Alpha Strike up, so he knows he's going to have to delay for a few seconds before he can actually cast that spell. And he doesn't have his ultimate yet, so he can't get slowed by Nunu, who does have his Ice Blast up. So he starts off by attacking Trooper. LEB's trying to kill Hazard in this, and Hazard uses ult. NKink just kind of follows it up. The heal comes up from Trooper, and is it going to be enough to keep him alive? No. This is just kind of a good management of NKink skills. So he knew he could stay on target because LEB was going for Vladimir, and that he himself, on Yi, had Berserker Greaves. And also, the way that fight started was Tristana initiated with a rocket jump. So when you use teleport, you want to look for the signs. And sometimes you can't see them yourself, sometimes you have to look for communication from your teammate. But what happens in the top lane, there are some very clear signs that NK can actually do something here. Sign 1, Chuper used his rocket jump offensively to get into the fight. What's the cooldown on it? 18 seconds. So NK has Alpha Strike up in about 10 seconds. So they'll be up at about the same time. If Chuper tries to use it for an escape, Master Yi can actually just follow it up with an Alpha Strike. The next sign that he can actually do something is that Hazard does have his ultimate up and still has his flash up. So a good play here is, Hazard actually going in just to apply the ultimate and try not to die. It's very risky, but it works out. NK actually teleports to Chuper. This is the advantage of Alpha Strike. If someone uses a flash or rocket jump and you still have vision, normally it will not destroy it. So that's why he actually caught up to Chuper. Not what he really wanted in the end because Chuper died, but it was enough. He got the kill, and unfortunately LEB... Actually, LEB does something very important here. Something very important I want to talk about, specifically related to Yi. So let's go ahead, hit speed up. Watch the Ice Blast. Now, realize Ice Blast has two portions. It has the attack speed debuff and the slow. And look at Yi's buffs. Not affected by either. So the move speed slow very clearly should not work because of his ultimate, Highlander. That will remove and make you immune to all slows. However, when it says all slowing effect, this generally seems to include attack speed slows. I've never seen Malphite interact with Master Yi, because if you're ever a Master Yi in a game with a Malphite, something's gone terribly wrong. But a lot of slows that are counted as one single slow, so for example Nasus' slow, Nunu's slow, do not actually benefit, or do not apply one effect. So if Nasus tries to slow you, your attack speed will not be affected as long as you press Highlander, which makes Nasus very weak to Master Yi. But that's okay because Nasus is weak to everything. Poor Nasus, my big dog. But that was a good example of using teleport. And this applies to almost every character in the game. When you use teleport, you're kind of risking something. So what could have happened? Well, this was a 2v1 up top, so it's a very special circumstance. But had that been a 1v1 in the top lane, they could have done Dragon in response. They could have been like 2 top junglers up there, take Dragon. His teleport's down. This can also apply to other lanes. For example, let's say you're up in the top lane, you teleport to another lane to support them. If you're in another lane and they see the teleport's been used, guess what? They can push your turret, they can deny CS, they might even kill your turret in response. So that's something that can happen top lane, it can happen mid lane, it can happen in any lane. Teleport is a very interesting spell because there's a lot of risk associated with it. You can use it badly. It's hard to do a bad ignite. If you ignite someone, it's ignite. You did your thing. Teleport can go badly. So NK sees people in the bot jungle, there's no backup for him, so he just goes ahead and keeps CS and keeps killing golems. I have the game at 2x speed because, well, he doesn't really do a whole lot. Dragon goes down, what does NK do? Look for an opening, and actually pick up this kill, which I should slow down for. Sorry. I got actually caught mid-burp. I'm just like, oh, gotta hold the burp, ignore the fight. So, this is like a situation Master Yi wants to be in. He wants to be cleaning up. So he sees Nick is low, goes in himself, and actually tries to pick him off. However, a great ultimate from Dagon actually interrupt Marn's final ultimate, but it's not enough. Now he can keep cleaning up. Now he's in a good position to go for kills. Now, what could Dagon have done there? He could have tried to use his flash to get away, but Dagon did something very smart. Against Master Yi, if you see him get the reset with his ultimate, get all of his skills off cooldown, you'll note that NK only got the assist, but he still has Alpha Strike up, so if Dagon did flash, he'd be dead. Summoner management's very important, as against Master Yi especially. Flash doesn't do a lot unless you're going somewhere where he doesn't have vision, and you know his Alpha Strike is not going to be up for 15 seconds. So, back to Mr. Yi. What does NK do? More raids, more jungle, more farming, because he can, because what else is there to do is Yi. He looks for the openings, sometimes he does find them, but unless he suspects that there's going to be a big old brawl going on, it's not really worth it for him to gank most lanes. He sees Rengar up here, for example. Hazard doesn't have his ult up, actually does an incredibly high amount of damage to Nick-Wu, but could they really go for the dive? Well, Nick-Wu could use his ultimate and get away. Regardless, what if he gets a ferocity heal off and gets 50% of his life back? Things can go terribly wrong, so why risk it? You don't have hard CC, you're not Maokai, and he doesn't have an Oracles. Because buying an Oracles on Yi is almost suicidal. Because you're already squishy enough. Like it's actually either very viable, but you can't really participate in team fights because he's squishy. Alright, let's look at Yi stats. What does NK have? He has a Wriggles. He has a Zeal. If he wanted to tank up, he'd sacrifice a lot of damage. He could build something like a Frozen Mallet. That'd be a nice little chunk of HP. But for this early game, what he really just needs is high damage for good jungle clearing. Like the way Yi works is you can build some HP, but your main goal is just going to be doing so much damage and coming in as cleanup that nobody can really respond to you. So NK, his jungle is clear. He's looking for some sort of opening. He could go to his wolves, but you know he thinks something's up. They're trying to actually go for the blue buff, which if you killed at the 7-minute mark and let's say well, it should be up. A fight does start though. Unfortunately, the ward coverage is not all there, and NK gets destroyed. It's a 4v4, but the 4 were split up for Team Marn, and the 4 for Troopers weren't. Marn didn't have teleport. What really happened to him was they caught him here with just CC. Singe Fling came in, tossed him back, and because he didn't have flash, there was nothing he could do to escape it. He could ultimate away, but it just wasn't enough at the time. So gotta watch out for that, especially when you're playing Yi or just anybody without without a flash. So a jungler like Shyvana, for example, you gotta be cautious. Now NK, he sees this fight going on. Does he decide to teleport in? Well, would he be able to do anything? No, because Marn's about to get the kill anyways. If you teleport into a creep, he'd show up here after 4 seconds. Might be able to pick off something, but generally no. Unfortunately, because he doesn't show up, Marn actually dies himself. But that was not a situation you normally go in. And you gotta be good with your judgment of teleport. It's got a very long cooldown, 5 minutes. And because he's not 21 utility, it's longer than, it's not the shortest possibility. He's looking for the openings though, but his lanes are actually going very well. Hazard up top lane has done very well despite being in 1v2. Yi himself is actually very okay at holding turrets just because you have a chance to instantly kill creeps. You gotta make sure though when you alpha strike, you don't alpha strike and die, which is very possible. Let's see, alpha strike Tristana, Raika jumps away, you keep chasing, and you die. Now Yi, he's a greedy jungler, and by that I mean he gets a lot of farm. If you look at NK, he's up to 81 CS. Nick Wu is at 69, so Nick Wu just isn't getting as much CS. But he's greedy because he doesn't leave the jungle. You still shared blue buffs. Red buff you can take yourself because it's really good on you. But, you know, play Yi as someone who will give away a blue buff but take every other single CS in the jungle if he can. NK, what has he really done so far? That one teleport, that one gank, not a whole lot. He's looking for another opening. His team is actually in a very good spot despite the 3-1 kill. And this is actually a good situation for Yi, where your team doesn't really need you. And if you look at the composition, Blitzcrank, Vladimir, Ezreal, Ahri, that's an amazing mid-game. That's an amazing point in the game where Yi would rather be split pushing, which, because he has teleport, is a super viable option. And what can you see him doing right now? He's just trying to be offensive. He knows that Dagon can try to catch him with Orianna. He can shoot out a ball. The slow, though, is not going to matter if he goes for a kill, because NK will just press Highlander and get away. The ultimate would be a problem, but unless he gets good poke in, which would involve that slow, it's not really going to matter. So NK just kind of hangs out in the mid lane, trying to be offensive. A very weird dynamic as that top lane was pushing in, bottom lane was pushing in, so both teams trade a lot of turrets, and NK just kind of keeps farming in the mid lane. He does have a problem where he cannot actually, he can't actually go in and attack the turret against a lot of champions. Top lane there was some aggression, NK decides just to go ahead and try to gank. Did not work. And now he's going for dragon. So these are just very, like, you know, recovery plays. He sees something goes wrong and he tries to fix the problem himself. He does take dragon, the fight starts, and this is a very bad situation for NK. He's being chased by Dagon. Trooper's also trying to chase him, but he ults out of there, just gets out of the fight. Trading one character for a dragon in the early game is okay. Mid game it's a bit shakier, just because the gold values aren't worth it. Echo, as a response, they try to back up E. What happens? They're dying as a response. So you got to know when to help your teammates. In this case, NK, he might have been okay. He ulted away. He was fine. He was safe. Ezreal, you know, had to hang around. And of course, Blitzcrank doesn't exactly have the best escape mechanism. He can go fast, but that's about it. So they hung around to help Yi, but they may have not really needed to. And in the end, it cost them their lives. So when you want to help a teammate, always think, A, do they need my help? B, will my help do anything? C, like, is there another better trade I can make? In this case, had they backed off, they would have gotten Dragon still, but would not have died as a result of that fight. NKink might have gotten away, but it wouldn't have been a 2-for-0 exchange. But I guess Dragon was taken. So NKink hasn't really used teleport recently. Like, there aren't many opportunities. Marn got picked off there, but by the time he would have finished the teleport, Marn would have already been dead. There's this fight right here. They do grab LEB in, but Hazard's getting caught off to the side, getting completely bursted down by Nick Wu, actually. So I was like, what could he really do here? The answer is not much. He could show up, and his showing up would be a very big disturbance, but he wants to have more presence in a team fight than that. He wants to clean up. If he shows up to a team fight early, especially in this case where he doesn't have a lot of mana or HP, he's just going to die. And when I say that Master Yi is very good at cleanup, you'll see a very good example of this later. You really have to play Master Yi almost as if he was Katarina. So there's this fight going on here. Does he teleport in? No. It's a bad fight because the rest of his team is just dying, and Patoy just has to get the hell out of there. It's a very weird fight, but he knows not to go in. Teleport is like the ultimate test of knowing when to go in, because if you blow teleport, it's a long cooldown. If you don't, well, what if you could have turned around that fight? It really requires a lot of communication from your team, so in solo queue it's not the most reliable thing, because people will just not talk, and you'll be like, yo, should I TP? And they'll be like, I'm focusing on my game, and this chat box is just completely gone to me. So knowing when to go in solo queue is a huge pain. In teams, in like fives, talk to your team, have your mics on. If you think that with one guy here you could win a major fight, take an objective, go ahead and ask him to show up. I realize though that you have to make teleports worth it, because if someone shows up bot lane and they're a top lane or a jungler, you might lose a lot. You might lose buffs, you might lose dragon, depending on where he teleports to. Anyhow, back to NKink. What has he been doing? He's been farming. He just farms. It's not the most exciting thing, sadly. He makes some cool plays later, don't worry. But this is the foundation of a lot of junglers. Shyvana, for example, she can be much more aggressive, but you still want to farm. That's your main goal, farm. And the reason for this is Shyvana can clear so quickly, and if you get enough items on her, you get this really awesome mid-game initiator tank. Yi, it's because without items, he's worthless. Someone like Olaf, it's kind of the same thing. It's like he's really good with items, he's very good at jungling, and his ganks are not the most spectacular thing, though a good jungle Olaf, oh my god, those axes will land. But Master Yi is the extreme example. He can't do anything, so farm. He picks up red buff, and it looks like a team fight's brewing. He's trying to actually be in the area. Let's see if anything actually happened from this. So a pull goes out onto Nick Wu, and right now, NKink he's actually heading towards his own wolves, but he will eventually decide to go to this fight. This is a very interesting fight. So LEB was actually counter warding, so she's not in this fight. It's a 4v4. Patoy does get picked off by Blitzcrank, and Hazard's trying to 1v1 Nick Wu. What does NK do? Well, back to NK cam, because these fights are so spread out, it's actually hard to pinpoint it. He's going towards the fight. He sees what's going on. Like, at this point, this is right before the fight starts. At this point, Singed is now fighting. Blitzcrank is about to die. He sees an opening for cleanup, and he goes in. And this is what you do as you look for those openings where you can just pick people off and clean them up. So Rengar does die to Vladimir's ult. Chuper shows up, but NKink still has an Alpha Strike up. LEB trying to actually stop NK from doing his thing does get some damage from the ultimate, but because he has Highlander up, LEB can't do anything. So the rest of Team Marn is fighting, but NKink, he's cleanup. He's not there to win the fight. He knows going towards Dagon might actually be a huge risk, so what does he do? He just kills LEB. And unfortunately for LEB, kind of the same thing we saw before, he can't do anything to get away. And this is Yi. This is what you do as Yi. You also do this. Yeah, look at that meditation. Oh god, it's so good. The reason that worked, by the way, is NK used meditation once he left the tower range, so he wasn't being shot, and he needed the extra armor and MR to survive the tower damage. Dagon himself did not die, actually, and this would be a situation where you want to be scared, which is why NK actually runs this direction. Because he realized, what if NK was coming from, I don't know, up there? That'd be pretty scary, that'd be pretty dangerous, he could die, and he knows, so he runs. I believe, does he actually know? He's actually looking for the kill. He knows that if he surprises Dagon, he can actually pick him off really quickly, but decides maybe that's not the best idea. But anyways, that's That's teleport. Teleport puts you into situations you want to be into at the cost of an ignite, an offensive spell. You know, if Master Yi had exhaust, his early game actually might have been a lot stronger just because he could have gotten many more ganks off. But because he had teleport, he was able to get into the middle of the fight. Now, do I recommend teleport on junglers? Not really. Solo queue, definitely not, because you're not going to ever organize well enough. On 5s, you can go for it. It's definitely a bit trickier, but it can work. But clearly, like you can see, there's a bit of cohesion going on. NK's playing very selfishly, yes, but when he sees a good opportunity, when his team makes that opening, he comes in and he tries to swoop on it. He's done it twice, once with Hazard, once in this fight, and they're about 15 minutes apart. You don't want to sit on teleport the entire game and not use it, but you also don't need to use it at every opportunity if it doesn't look amazing. But what's he going to do? He's going to keep farming. And do this as you do not stop farming. Take your golems, be greedy. It's not up to the mid lane to take your farm. Some junglers can do that. They can give up farm. Maokai, for example, will probably give a lot of farm. You're Yi. Don't do that. Do stuff like this. If you see your team doing one thing, you take Dragon yourself. And I love this little exchange, because he does use Highlander to kill Dragon, but he's just able to walk on out of there, as the rest of troopers are just like, maybe we should chase him. But they actually get baited by this. Now, teleport is down on Master Yi. This would be an awesome play if teleport was up, because you could teleport into this fight and take a Baron. But it's not up. Hazard, trying to get away, and now at this point, what is NK doing? He's split pushing. And this is kind of the Yi thing. You force the enemy team to make a lot of decisions once you get to the split pushing phase of the game. Which, if you see an opening, you split push. That is the phase of the game. It's not like anything specific. It's just, hey, a lane I can push and they won't respond. I'm going to push this lane. Obviously, if you'll lose your Nexus, you shouldn't go ahead and do this. But just like, hey, they're over there. I'm up here. I'm just going to push. So that actually forced troopers to come back, and they did not lose the Baron buff. They did not lose really anything. Because look, everybody's got that Baron buff. Everybody still has it. And this was a good idea from NK. His side pressure, his split push pressure, really came in here. And this is why teleport actually kind of makes sense on Yi. He's a good split pusher. Jungle Yi, it's not the most reliable thing in the game. It actually has the most luck of any jungler in the game, because he gets wriggles and has his own built-in luck. But you're not really a normal jungler. You don't focus on actually helping your team in team fights necessarily. You can clean up, yes, but you're not going to be Shen, who starts a fight. You're not going to be Shyvana, who dives a carry. If you dive a carry, you'll probably die as Yi. Maybe you'll pick up the kill, maybe you won't. Who knows? But what you really do is you become this major annoyance, this major pest that can be in the side, that can be many places. That's why Triforce used to be good on Yi. Not because the stats are amazing on him, but just the move speed and health help him get away so well that it can have a major impact. Now, right now, what's he doing? He sees his team over to the side. He's split pushing. Now, unfortunately, his team's getting their butt kicked. And we're going to see an awesome team fight here, where I'm not going to say anything the first time around. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it on NK and Cam. We can discuss this in a second. Okay. What just happened? Well, let's slow down this part of the fight. So this part is everything being blown. Look at the ultimate cooldowns on the right side of the screen. Buster Shot is down. Rengar's ultimate is down. Insanity Potion is down. The Shot Command Shockwave is down. So is LAB's ultimate. So no ultimates are up. The only thing really up is one exhaust. So NK shows up. He sees these two guys. He picks off LAB with an auto attack, or Alpha Strike and an auto attack, which resets Highlander. Singed. His poison doesn't matter. Now this part I have to slow it down even more. He Alpha Strikes Nikwu and actually picks up the kill onto Dagon because of this ward. It spotted him in the bush. He gets exhausted here. What he does is smart. He actually Nikwu falls and doesn't want to. He tries to use Alpha Strike to wait out the exhaust timer. So he knows his damage is going to be low. He just uses Alpha Strike during that time to pick up kills. And this is actually a very APE-esque kill. The reason he got these kills was they were so low and he could spam Alpha Strike, he picked up kills. That's something APE would have just completely mauled them with. Instead he was ADE though. He still did about, in the end, let's say, 600 and 900 damage with Alpha Strikes to multiple people, which is insane. But when I say Yi's cleanup, I mean Highlander. Highlander is an amazing spell because it resets your cooldowns on assists, well, half of it on assists, and of course fully on kills. So he's like Katarina. If you give him the opportunity to go ahead and clean up a fight, he will do so perfectly. We saw the results. His Highlander's actually still up to push his turret. It's like, holy crap, you just got a pentakill, and he's fine to push, nothing's been used. And this is actually a problem he has. He's very feast or famine. Things can go super well for him, that would have been a feast, but let's say he'd gotten early in that fight, actually gotten an assist. Let's say Marn picked up one of those kills, that might have not gone the same. The enemy team might have had a chance to escape because his cooldown might have not been used. Or worse yet, what if he alpha striked a target and they died before he actually, before his attack finished, which can bug out sometimes and not give you credit because you don't actually apply any damage. So that was the perfect Yi fight. That is what every Yi fight should be going for, where you come in late and you kill everybody. As Yi, unless you're super duper far ahead with a GA, a Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, a Phantom Dancer, unless you're in that position and you can just murder someone like an AD carry in 1 to 2 seconds, you have to come in late. If not, you see what happens. And actually, take out the Wriggles, give him a Last Whisper too, and he'd be in the instant kill AD carry spot. But look at NKank. What's his build? Berserker Greaves, GA, Bloodthirster, Phantom Dancer. What's the cooldown on Alpha Strike? About 8 seconds. So if he can survive for a few seconds, he knows that when he respawns, he can Alpha Strike, as long as that cooldown has a chance to get a couple ticks in before he melts. Really, this is going to make him the best duelist in the game, because if he procs his ultimate, he'll kill someone. They almost have no escape. He was doing 300 and some damage with Baron buff on him. Now he's down to 282. He's still going to be critting for massive numbers, especially considering the fact that Voodoo Style can be activated for extra damage. So right now, with red buff, if he catches anybody, they're dead. But that's the thing, he has to catch one person. And what does Marn do? They do a very smart thing. They force a split push. They have NKank down here, 1v1ing Tristana, which he'll win that fight pretty easily. She might be able to get away, but if they try to actually like 1v1 for real, she'll die. Trooper just does not have the anything to actually compete with Master Yi, as he has less attack damage and less attack speed. What does NKank do? He sees his team fighting, but he doesn't care. He knows that in those few seconds they spend killing X Hazard, what's going to happen? He's going to go ahead and just wipe out this turret, completely annihilate it. So that 45, his team was a decent amount ahead, so that's why he knew he could do it. But he did not use his teleport, he did not do anything except split push. And you know, with that split push, guess what? 2 inhibitors down, the next Baron, when it spawns, it's going to go straight to NKank's team, it's going to go straight to Team Arn, and Troopers can't do anything to stop it. So this is a very cool setup. This is a split push setup at its finest. And usually once you start getting 2 inhibitors down with a split push comp, that last inhibitor, that last part of the game can take forever, as we saw with the 8 or 74 minute Dignitas CLG game, but it's almost impossible to lose. Unless they get totally wiped out, which would be a major mistake coming out from Team Marn, because everybody on the team is incredibly mobile. Unless they screw up, they're fine. And Master Yi now has a pickaxe going for Infinity Edge. He will kill everybody almost instantly once he picks up Infinity Edge. And like I said, he'll sell the Wriggles for Last Whisper, and that's the end. At this point, who has the most CS in the game? Master Yi. He's ahead of Tristana by 7. And all he's done is farm. Let's look at the gold distribution. 13,500 onto him. The next closest in the game is 11,400 on the 766 Ezreal. Actually, right here, they try and solo Baron. They do screw around. This was an IPL 5 qualifier game, so it did matter, actually. But they're screwing around at this point. They know that NKank is super far ahead. And of course, NKank, Patoy, and Hazard combined are huge trolls when they feel like it. They're very cool guys, all of them. So, they take Baron, and this is the death part. This is the finishing of the game. At this point, what does Team Marn want to do? Not overcommit. Their team fight should be stronger just because they have better numbers. But they know they shouldn't like go into a straight-on mash 5v5, because it could go wrong. For example, it could go wrong here. What's going on? Well, Pragmatic dies early on Sin just because he was going in the middle of the fight. Nick Wu actually dies to a very good Blitzcrank hook. And Kank, what is NKank doing? He's hanging out at base. He actually could probably use his teleport at this point. But it's a 4v5. A great ultimate from Dagon actually picks up Echo. And, you know, this is just a very long kind of pokey fight. He finally does use a teleport. Deciding maybe I should just, you know, help my team so they can win. And they just kind of clean everything up. They're very cautious about this. You know, who's alive? Orianna, Tristana, and Nunu. 3 people who combined are actually amazing amounts of damage despite not having Singed or Rengar. So they play very cautiously on Team Martin. This is what you want to do. Just because, what if things go wrong and they actually have a chance to come back? That's why the CLG Dignitas game lasted so long. Actually, a very cool move from Trooper there. He used Rocket Jump after the Alpha Strike hit him just so he could still get away. Like, it was as it finished, so cool little move there. But, I mean, Team Martin, they're trying to pressure. They really can. And actually, Patoy goes down. And this is just, you know, what happens when you try and force something too much. They waited too long. Members started actually respawning on Team Martin. Niku's already back up. And they have to disengage. They lose Ahri, they lose Blitzcrank. Yi's still up. Yi's, you know, doing his Yi thing. But Ezreal on his own can't push against 4 people. But if you look at the game timer, as you can see, they do it again, and they do it right this time. So let's go ahead and speed up 2x speed, because this is going to be NK Inc. just jungling some more, which we've seen a whole lot of already. He sees Dagon here, doesn't go for the kill. He's split pushing, that's all he cares about, just that split push. He knows that no one on the enemy team can actually catch him out, because they only have one route, and that's Rengar with his Bola shot. And now, they're grouping up. It's still only Vladimir and Yi, but Vladimir should have an okay chance escaping. Yi, of course, will just speed boost on out of there. So they're waiting for people from the team to group up, at least get three people before they go for the heavy pressure. Blitzcrank shows up, and the fight, you know, kind of starts. Hazard just ultimates just to not die. You know, scare away the enemy team, get a bit of HP back from the ultimate. What is NK doing? Just looking for the inhibitor. And this is still the split push mentality. It's okay to keep up this mentality. If your team can't fight, don't force fights. They're up a lot of gold, but they don't want to initiate into a normal fight with Hazard so low. At this point, with 3 inhibitors down, what you do is you push all the lanes at once. So look at this: two super creeps here, 2 super creeps here, 2 super creeps here. That's 6 super creeps. They each do 290 damage. Of course, they don't have any penetration. That's a lot of damage for a super creep, and they have 4,000 HP. So the bulk will help whittle down these towers, and it's going to be hard for anybody on a troopers to actually deal with them. So a turret goes down just as the super creeps are trying to actually clear and pressure at the same time. What happens? Another turret goes down. At this point, Team Martin decides to actually go into the fight, you know, try and pick people off. This is not a very exciting fight. The final fights are really that exciting. It's Trooper tries to actually rocket jump away from NK. He gets an awesome Alpha Strike, does his thing, and actually does not blow the GA on a Trooper, just because he got flung back. He's in the E zone though. He's able to go ahead, try to clean up, dies to the Nexus turret, and well, that's the game. I can't actually zoom in, speed up anymore. Fast forward. That's it. That was Teleport Smite E with a pentakill from NK Inc. I really like this game. I like that it's ingenuity. It's something different. It's not something I'd recommend to do every game, and it's possibly not something I'd recommend to do any game. It was cool. It was an experiment, but don't do it in solo queue. Your team will hate you. Your team will hate you so much. They'll be so angry. Do it in 5s. Do it as a group, and you can make use of it. So you don't have to restrict summoner spells. Smite, I mean, you should go on the jungler, but you can put it on someone else if you want to try for aggressive counter jungling. Master Yi, he's not very good, but what did Martin do to make him work? They used him as a split push character. They sent him across the map. He was constantly somewhere else. He may have not been the most aggressive when it came to teleports, but he knew how to take pressure off of his team so they could take their own objectives, or when he was left alone, would take turrets like nobody's business, take inhibitors like nobody's business. Obviously, Team Martin did get fairly ahead fairly early, but had they not, they'd still have the ability to try and pressure with the teleport, with the fact that NK Inc. is going to be so mobile with his ultimate. But this was just a daily looking at Master Yi. Updates on the stream. I've been streaming myself a lot lately just to go ahead and get ready and practice for the 24-hour stream, just because I don't want to go there for day one and just be like, stream. Yeah, let me check the settings, guys. I don't want to do that because that's a huge pain and not going to be the best. But that is it for today's daily. I hope you guys learned something, and yeah, adios, folks.